Good evening, IL family, and welcome back to your Monday night broadcast. I'm here with Coach Tamil, Lady Tamil. This is Inclination Life, where we talk about positive living via simple truths. And so I want to welcome you guys back in. I hope that it has been a very, very happy Monday for you and a great start to your week, as I do hope every single week. So tonight I'm going to start off with this. This is probably going to be more in a chat. I'm always chatting, but sometimes it seems like my messages are more preachy because that minister part of me comes out, but there are so many parts of me that but tonight is more of a chat. Hopefully it'll stay in a chat. We'll see where God takes it, but I want to welcome you guys back in. And so one thing that I've been thinking about is the fact that I think a lot of people don't know how many diverse parts there are to Inclination Life. The broadcast is just one of the parts. And so what I'm going to be kind of transforming Monday nights into is kind of like my faith conversation. Not that I'm not already doing it, but just so that people know that, hey, that's the intention of the broadcast, is it is a faith conversation, because as you know, that I'm a life coach. And so there's a lot of different perspectives. And I know people wonder, how in the world does Monday night fit in there? But this is just my faith conversation. And so with that being being the conversation on the night, our topic is you are responsible for you. And so I don't know where this came from today, but I was just kind of thinking about how we operate as people. And I think so many times that I listen to people talk, and if you listen to people talk, especially people that are kind of in a place where life is not going that well, or things are not on the right path, or life is a lot strenuous, I listen to people, and a lot of times at the end of their dialogue, at the end of their reasoning, it has a lot to do with someone else. It has a lot to do with a situation that has happened in their life or their present day, what they're in. And so we extend a lot of the blame of our lives on the outside. And so I want to talk about tonight our understanding of us being responsible for us. Now, I am not minimizing God in our life. As a matter of fact, God is absolutely maximized in our life, especially when we allow him to have complete control. But in anything that God is doing in our life, he expects us to join in with the work that he's doing. And you're going to understand it a little more as we go into the conversation on tonight. And so the intro I put here, I put so many things that there's so many things that God has given us without our even thinking about it. There's some things that we get up each and every day and we don't necessarily consider what it is, the blessings that God gives us in each and every day. I talked about that a couple weeks ago, so I really won't go into that on tonight. But there's so many things that we get up and, it's almost like, if you really be honest, sometimes we get up in our prayers, and even though we're saying, God, I thank you for life, health, and strength, a lot of times that even lacks the very passion that it should have, because we just expect those things. We get up and when we open our eyes, we're like, okay, God, I'm here. I thank you that I'm alive. I thank you for life, health, and strength. Oh, let me go ahead with my day. But there's a beauty in getting up and realizing that, like, it really doesn't have to be this way. And so this is where I wanted, just starting there, that we have a responsibility to respond in such a way that says we truly understand where we are in life. We truly understand the gift that we have in life. We truly understand every aspect. And so we don't look over so many things. Because the thing about that is that same attitude funnels into our everyday living. It funnels into our everyday mindset. So in using that as an example, a lot of times, because we don't look at what it is that God has given us, or we look at it like, hey, that's just the way it's supposed to be. I wouldn't expect anything any less. And no, I wouldn't expect certain things any less, because those are the things that God has promised me. But it does not negate the fact that I still have to be grateful, and that God is even gracious enough to bless me with the things that he said that he would do. So when we take on the mindset that some things in life are just supposed to happen, we sometimes allow that to funnel over into our mindsets, to the point that we feel like we actually negate our responsibility in every situation. And so this is how oftentimes we continually blame our lives on other people. We continue to blame our lives on situations, and we don't take our portion in that thing and our responsibility in that thing. And so I put here, there's not much that just happens in life. A lot of us are approaching life like, okay, life, I'm here. I woke up this morning, give me whatever you have to give me. And we negate the power that we have in being able to have some responsibility in that day, being able to speak some things. Just even start off by inviting God into your day can maybe change the very pattern of the way that your life goes, because you've asked him to direct your path. And when you ask him to direct your path prayerfully, you're sitting and you're waiting and you're in tune to the Spirit. So you're waiting for him to really direct your day. Not like, God, order my steps, but yet I'm going to go on my same schedule and I'm never even listening for you to give me a detour. But no, God, I'm listening and I'm asking you to order my steps. So that's one way that we can stop being in a life where we say, hey, life hit me with your best shot. But we can go into it with purpose, with a mindset that, hey, first of all, I know I'm in a good place because God is directing my day. So that means that no matter what comes my way, no matter what comes in this day, I know that he is with me. That will change your mindset and your approach about how life is, especially on the days when it's not what a good day, when things are just downhill. You can know that God is with you, and it changes the way that you see things. It changes the way that you do things. And then the next thing I put here, I said we fail to exercise the power of our mind. And so God has given us this beautiful creativity in our mindsets. He's given us these minds that if we can allow the mind of Christ to be in us, that powerful mind of Christ, that mindset where we can follow the model of how he lived, attempt to follow the model of how he thought and how he spoke and how he approached life, that now we have this mind, we have this creative genius on the inside of us that God has given us that we can apply to life. So we don't have to sit idly by in life and just let life happen to us. We can actually get up on purpose and believe that, okay, today I'm going to get this done. I'm going to pursue the things that it is that God has given me, and I don't have to live from this standpoint. The other thing that we have is that we have faith. We can apply our faith. It takes mindset to have faith, because you've got to get that mind in you that aligns up with his will so that your faith will align with what his word is saying. Now, going on to the word, there's power in our mouth. A lot of times when we're just sitting there and we're just letting life happen, we're letting the routines of our life happen, then what we're doing is that we're missing out on that power that says God has promised me. He has said in his word that I have the power of life and death in my tongue. I get to get something in my mind, believe it by faith, and then begin to speak it. Now, the most critical part of that is making sure that it aligns with his will. But I get to think something in my mind, which is a vision I believe God gives us. When you begin to envision things, I don't believe we quite do that all on our own, but I believe he places things in us for a purpose. And then not only do I get to believe something, but I begin to think on that thing. And then when I begin to think on that thing, I can actually believe it. And now I can attach his word to it, and I can begin to form life with all of these great tools. I put here, God works so much out for us, but we often fail to respond with our part. And then thinking about this, I thought about how many of us have asked God what our purpose is. I thought about how many of us have asked God for vision. How many of us have said, God, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know why I'm here. And I don't know the purpose. I don't know what it is for having you have for me. But I've asked you. And then God responds with the vision. He gives you the vision. He may not give you the full vision, but he gives you enough for you to operate on. God gives you a piece to the puzzle. God shows you where your purpose is. God shows you where your lane is. And some of us, our response is, God, I thank you. I thank you that you've given me this. I thank you that you've allowed me to do this. But yet we're not responding in faith. We're not responding with action. One of the greatest things that I have seen, and I'm just using my life as a testament on today, is that when I've grabbed hold of the vision that God has given me, not first in my mindset, and then standing on faith and believing in what it is that he showed me, and then responding with action by saying, I believe you, God, so much that I am going to go in the direction of what it is that you have given me. I am going to trust that you are going to order my steps. I don't know all the paths to get there, but I'm going to start right here where I am. And I'm going to begin on the path that you've given me, because I have a responsibility in this thing. You've done your part. You've given me the vision. You've set the path. You promised that you'd be there with me. And now I have a responsibility to respond with faith by walking towards what it is that you have for me. And so sometimes we fail because we don't respond in faith. We don't go towards the very thing that we've asked God for. He's made it clear, and we're still sitting and we're waiting on something to happen. And he's saying, you've heard many a preacher say that you're already equipped with everything that you need to do what it is that God has for you. And even in saying that on tonight, I wonder if sometimes we struggle because we're not doing the thing that we're equipped for, but yet we're trying to do something that is not our lane or our path or what we've been equipped to do. But God says that I've already equipped you. So don't be that person on tonight. Be the person that says, I've asked God for the vision. He's made it loud and clear, and I am pursuing it. I am going to the process. So many of us are sitting in that vision, and we're somehow believing that I'm going to get from the vision to the finish line without going through the process. When you respond in faith, you begin to walk out your process to get to that destination that he has shown you. And so I put responsibility deals with our duty to deal with something. It's our ability to act independently and to make a decision. What I love about God is that God will give you vision. He will give you instructions. He will give you commands. He will do all of that. But yet, at the end of it, he still says you have to make a choice. You have to make a decision to follow the instructions, believe me enough to step out on faith, to go to the next level, to go into territory that you don't know anything about. You have to have that. When you read Hebrews chapter 11 and you look at those people of faith, and if you actually go back and read their stories, these are people that stood out on faith. And I mean, to the point where it actually talks about that they didn't even see the manifestation of everything that God had promised, but yet they still believed. And so on tonight, I want to say, what is it that you've been believing God for? He's shown you the vision. He's shown you where you're going to be. He's given you some thought process. He doesn't always give us the full picture, but a lot of times he's given us something and you said, okay, God, I know that was you, but how do I get there? What is that on tonight for you? And so he gives us this free will to make a decision, to make a choice. Yeah, I'm not going to force. He says, I'm not going to force feed you, but I'm going to give you something where you get to make a decision. And so I put here, even in the free will, God shows us that how responsible we are as we mature. And so what I like about this is that as we mature and grow, one thing I always tell people is that as I've been on this walk and as I look at God, one thing about God is that God gives you what he knows he can entrust you with. And so if he's giving you one instruction and you haven't followed that, but yet you're waiting on that great big instruction that's going to get you to destination, he can't trust you with that yet. So why not step out on the thing that he's giving you? As we mature, he gives us more freedom, because we can be entrusted to be responsible with the freedom. That means we're not going to go left. We're not going to go right. We're not going to do something else, but we can be entrusted with the freedom on tonight. And the last thing I put here, excuse me, is that we're responsible for ourselves. So many of us blame other people for what we're not doing. Like, God is giving you the vision, God is giving you the dream, or even maybe you've been through a bad process and you're blaming other people for where you are. I'm not going to tell you that people won't ever be a hindrance in your path. I'm not going to tell you that you won't go through situations where there seems like pain has been inflicted upon you because of what someone else has done, or that someone else won't have a negative impact on your life. But you always get the choice of how you will respond. You get the choice of how you will move forward, whether you will move forward at all from that point. And so that means that you have a responsibility in every situation of your life that you are in. You are responsible. So we don't get to throw up our hands and blame someone else when we are sitting in our seat and we're not doing anything. The next thing I put here is that we're responsible. We have to remember that we cannot have pity parties. Sometimes we know. I was just reading an old blog post that I had done where I was talking about actually coming to grips with the fact that I had been, disobedient, and people say, well, that I had been disobedient to God. I had heard the instructions of God, and I wish that I could go back and do some things over, or God would give me another opportunity to go in reverse. And then I put in that later on in that post that God doesn't allow us to redo things in time, but He does let us do this beautiful thing that's like a refresh button, and we get to start over from where we are. We get to say, okay, God, I did not listen that time, but if it be Thy will, if You give me another opportunity, I will step out on faith. I had a situation like that, and I had to wait for God to bring that opportunity back around to me. It didn't happen just because I said, well, God, if You give me another opportunity, it will happen. But it happened in His timing. And when He brought that situation back around, I made sure that there was nothing that would stop me, because I knew I had a responsibility. It wasn't that God hadn't set up the process for me. It wasn't that He hadn't opened doors. It wasn't that He hadn't touched the hearts and moved and put compassion on those that were in the positions that needed to do it. It was because I did not respond that something was held up. And so we have to know that sometimes in being responsible, it is responding to a point where we don't hold up our own selves and later on blame someone else for that. The last thing I put here is sometimes this is on the opposite side of that. Sometimes we do so well in sharing in other people's lives and the responsibility of their lives that we omit our own. And so this is why I want to talk about us being responsible for ourselves. It's because on tonight, I don't know what God has on the inside of you. I don't know what God has for you to do. I don't want you to look at the size of it. I don't want you to compare it to anybody else. I just want you to say, am I walking towards what God has for me by faith on today? Am I doing what it is that God has for me to do by faith? Not what God has for somebody else to do, but what God has for me to do by faith on tonight. Am I taking the little portion that God has given me and actually walking towards that thing by faith? And if you are not, I pray that you will ask Him through and by the power of the Holy Spirit to actually give you the courage, because sometimes it's fear that's stopping us, to take away excuses, because sometimes that's what's binding us, to close out the voices inside, the voices, whether that be external voices or voices in your head that are drowning out His voice. But I pray on tonight that you will understand that on your path, on your walk, on your journey, that you have a responsibility in this thing. There is something that you need to respond to. There is something that you need to do. And that is in all areas of your life. That could be in career, that could be in relationship, that could be in friendship, whatever it is. But you have a responsibility, and we are responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for how we respond on tonight. And so if you're believing God for something, all the simple way that I can put it is just respond to Him in faith. Respond to Him by walking towards the very thing that you're asking Him to do. If it's in your relationship on tonight, I want to say respond to Him by beginning to walk in the love that He's commanded for you to walk in. Don't wait for that other person to do it. Don't wait for that other person to step towards reconciliation. You do it. You have a responsibility on tonight. If that is in a dream or a passion that He's giving you, you do it. You start from where you are. You may not have all the pieces. You may not have all the finances, but you have something that you can start to do right now. So whatever area it is in your life, respond on tonight. Know that you are responsible. Do your part. And I believe it's going to make such a difference in our lives. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on tonight, and I hope you'll come back in next week as we have another conversation about positive living via Simple Truths. Have a good night.